Good evening, ma'am. Would you please state your full name for the record?
Special Agent Forensic Scientist Kim Lowe.
Ma'am, you mentioned that your name involves a title of Special Agent Forensic Scientist. Could you please explain that to the jury? What is a forensic scientist, special agent?
I work for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation in the Knoxville Crime Laboratory doing forensic DNA analysis. So as a forensic scientist, I look at the evidence for the presence of bodily fluids and then obtain a profile and compare it to a known standard.
How long have you been doing that, ma'am?
20 years now.
20. What's your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Arts in Biology from Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania, a Master of Arts in Anthropology from the University of Albany in New York, and then I've had a year and a half of in-house training working cases working to each stage of our analysis.
Do you have any experience working in the field beyond the 20 years of experience with the TBI?
I have worked as a forensic technician within TBI as well.
So is that part of the 20 years or in addition to?
That's part of the 20.
Have you ever been qualified to testify as an expert?
Yes, I have.
In what field?
In forensic biology or serology DNA.
Do you have any specialized training in the field of forensic science?
Not specifically in forensic science.
What is DNA, ma'am?
DNA is a unique chemical in our bodies that is unique to each individual, except for identical.
Have you ever authored any papers for public or private circulation?
I have done one.
What field is that?
It's in anthropology.
Anthropology. How many papers have you authored? Just the one?
Just the one in anthropology.
All right. Is the entirety of your work devoted to the field of serology at this point in time?
Serology or DNA analysis.
Have you ever been qualified to testify as an expert?
Yes, I have.
How many times?
Be about 46 times.
In what courts have you testified, ma'am?
I have testified in this one, Knox County, Washington County, Sullivan County, Carter County, Greene County, everything in like eastern Tennessee.
And in what field have you testified as an expert?
Serology, DNA analysis, or forensic biology.
Your Honor, at this time, I would tender Special Agent Lowe as an expert in the field of forensic biology.
And on serology and DNA analysis as well?
No, in serology, yes, Judge.
Yes. So would you recommend to go with forensic biology, serology, and DNA analysis?
Ma'am, I'd like to ask you, if I could, about the case involving Miss Jasmine Pace. Have you been submitted items of evidence for forensic analysis?
Yes, I have.
I'm actually going to go in reverse order here.
I'm handing you what's been marked for identification as Exhibit 209. Do you recognize this report?
Yes, I do. It's a copy of the report I released December 6, 2024.
And generally, what does the report cover? What topics?
This report covers the no analysis of all the evidence that I did not test. It's part of our policy to let the customer know what we did not test.
Now, ma'am, what kind of caseload does the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation have in the forensic biology department that you work in?
We get about 40 to 50 cases a month.
40 to 50? And of those 40 to 50 cases, how many items of evidence typically get submitted along with those 40 to 50 cases?
It depends. We get a variety of different types of evidence. So we get some homicides, we get burglaries, we get sexual assault kits, and each of them differ in range for what we receive for each case.
Does that generate a lot of work?
Yes, it does.
Are y'all able to keep up?
Not at the moment.
How long does it take for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation to, test hypothetically speaking, a DNA sample along with some known standards?
As in,
If
right
I
now,
were to submit a sample today, how long would it take for it to work its way through the system?
to work its way through the system and then get the case reviewed and analyzed, probably about 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Back in 2022, was that the case?
No, it was not.
Okay. What's the difference between now and back in November of 2022?
I think I misunderstood your question. So technically, if you were to submit a case now and you wanted it in the front of the line, it would be about 6 weeks. We still have about a 6-month backlog for violent cases. So for homicides and assaults and so forth, there's still about a 6-month backlog. The sexual assault kits have a lower backlog at the moment.
Okay. So if this case were a homicide, it would still take at least 6 months to get items back?
That is correct.
And that's, is it better now than it was in 2022?
I don't remember what it was in 2022.
Are there any policies put in place by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation that limits the number of items that can be submitted on a particular case number?
Not necessarily submitted, but items worked.
Items worked, okay. And what is that number, ma'am?
Again, it's different per actual type of case. On a homicide, it's up to 10 probative items. On a sexual assault kit, it's probably the kit. Additional items after that are a case-by-case basis. A burglary is like 2 items. It really depends on what type of case it is.
The report that's sitting in front of you that's labeled 209, is this something that's generated in the regular course of business of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, it is.
And is it a report that you yourself generated on or about the 12th day of December 2020?
The 6th day is a
6th day, I'm sorry, 6th day of December 2024.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have to admit the evidence to it.
You judge.
And,
So moved.
yeah, published, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
May I have DVD, Judge? Ma'am, behind you, I projected up onto the screen a document. Is this the report that's admitted into evidence as 209?
Yes, it is.
Okay. There's a lab case number on it as well as 2 names. What are the names associated with this case?
The listed subject is Chen, and the victim is Jasmine.
And in this case, on the left-hand side, there's a series of exhibits, 001E through 001S, with descriptions next to it. What's the significance of exhibit 001A through 001S?
1A through S.
Is that E? I'm sorry, 001E.
These are items that were submitted on the first submission on November 30th, 2022. They came in with other items of evidence. And this is just letting the customer know that I did not work these items of evidence.
Okay, so on November the 30th, 2022, the TBI received the items that we could see on the screen, and the TBI did not work them because they worked other items?
I worked other items, yes.
Okay. So there's been some questions throughout the trial about various items of evidence. I'm now showing you what's been admitted as 154. If that picture shows sweatpants from a washer, that item was not tested but submitted.
It was submitted but not tested.
Okay. And swabs from bedroom molding, 149.2. Again, what was the status of those items?
Those items were not worked.
Okay. 149.1. Swabs from light switch, north wall.
The
Same.
item, yes, the item was not worked.
149-12, swabs from bathroom door molding. 149-5, swab from baseboard north wall. 149-9, swab from bathroom door below lock. 149-11, swab from bathroom door edge. 150-7, swab from bathroom light switch. 001N, swab from doorway, shown in 149-6. Evidence marker 5, collective exhibit 146-2, swab from grout line. Swabs from the living room, shown in 144-3. Swabs from the kitchen floor east of laundry room, 144-8, as well as 150-4, a swab from the stairwell. So all of those items were submitted by the Chattanooga Police Department, but because other items were analyzed, these could not.
I did not analyze these because I did analyze other items from the same area.
With the 10 item limit.
Within the 10 item limit.
Okay, thank you.
Next, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as 210. It is a multi-page document consisting of 2 pages. Would you mind familiarizing yourself with that?
This is the first report I released on December 2nd, 2022.
Thank you, ma'am. And what does it record?
It's recording the remaining of the items that were received with the other set that was on the last report.
Was an analysis performed on the items shown and reflected on this particular exhibit?
On the exhibits 1A through changes. On those above exhibits, it does it gives the results of those.
Okay. It does it fairly and accurately depict the results of your examination of various items of submitted evidence.
Yes, it does.
Is it something that's prepared in the regular course of business for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I move to admit into evidence 210.
So admitted.
Published.
Yes, sir.
So, ma'am, your report consists of 2 pages, and I'm going to break it down here. Up at the top, there is a list of items that you describe as exhibits: 001A, B, C, D, F, P, and T. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Ma'am, I'm going to hand you a collection of evidence, and if you could please tell me if this is one of the items that you were submitted in this particular case. First one, which is admitted into evidence as exhibits 162, pupil swabs from Jason Chen.
So yes, it has the lab number, the exhibit number, and my initials. And for me, it's 001T, which is known buccal swabs from Jason Chen.
Okay. Exhibit 194 to the trial.
194 for me is, again, the lab number, my exhibit number, so 001C, known buccal swabs from Travis Pace.
193.
Is my 001B, known buccal swabs from Katrina Pace.
Exhibit 196.
Is exhibit 001B, toothbrush from Bag and Pool House,
And exhibit 195, last but not least.
which is 001A, which is the toothbrush from the Pool House.
What's a known standard?
So known standard is something that is swabbed from your mouth, and it's something that is known to you, and actually it will give me a DNA profile to compare back to later.
So what kinds of things can be known standards?
So buccal swabs and mostly blood are actual known standards.
In the event that you don't have access to either buccal swab or actual blood, can other items be used as known standards?
We can go ahead and use something that is routinely known to be used by that individual, so toothbrushes, hairbrushes, combs, brush, and that type of thing.
And specifically, ma'am, exhibit 195, the toothbrush from the shower. Did you analyze that item to develop a genetic profile?
Yes, I did.
How do you do that?
So on this one, so in this area, I actually use a swab, and I actually swab the bristles of the brush, and then I cut that swab and run through the DNA process.
How do you go through the DNA process?
So the DNA process involves extraction, which I'm going to bust off all the cells that are on that sample. I then quant it to know how much DNA I have. We're looking for 24 different locations on the DNA, and that allows me to amplify to get the appropriate number of DNA to give me a DNA profile.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And you indicate that, did you assign a name to the DNA profile that you developed in this case from that toothbrush?
From 001A, it was the major contributor is that of an unknown female individual, unknown female number 1.
Now, I'm sorry, there's 2 toothbrushes here. which profile did you develop for the toothbrush from the shower?
Is unknown female individual number 1.
And what about the toothbrush from the pool house bag?
That is an unknown female individual, unknown female number 2.
Okay. All right. So you assigned, why do you call them unknown female?
Because it's not a known standard, I'm listing it as an unknown individual at the time being until we can later get a standard to compare it to see which one it matches.
Okay. Turning now, ma'am, to these particular parts right here. Carpet from west of bedroom, and you then analyzed it down here under the heading of 001F. I will blow it up for the jury. Okay. So when you received items for comparison purposes, what does that mean?
So I receive an evidence item, I go ahead and look at, it's just an item that is finding out whether or not there's any DNA on it, and whether there's serology, so blood, semen, or saliva, and then seeing who that, getting a DNA profile from that to see and compare it back to somebody else.
Ma'am, I'm handing you what's been admitted into evidence as Exhibit 142. Take a look at that.
It's my 001F, which is carpet from the west of bed in bedroom.
Were you able to develop a DNA profile?
Yes, I was.
Specifically, was that DNA profile developed from blood on that particular item that you were submitted?
So the testing I did, presumptive chemical testing indicated the presence of blood. Presumptive immunological testing indicated the presence of human hemoglobin, a component of human blood. The DNA profile obtained is that of an unknown female individual, unknown female number 2, which is the toothbrush from the bag in the house.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm now showing you what's been admitted into evidence as Exhibit 147-3.
If you wouldn't mind opening this sample up. I've got gloves over there. Does that appear to be the same stain pattern that we see in Exhibit 147-3?
It's similar, but I also have my lab number with the exhibit number on the back, so it's identified.
So item number 9 is the item that you tested, which showed the presence of blood and a genetic profile.
That is correct.
Did you receive another item of carpet that you analyzed as part of this initial batch?
Yes, I did.
Mandy, what's been admitted into evidence as Exhibit 141. Would you mind opening that up? Would you like me to open it? Were you able to develop a genetic profile from this sample?
Ma'am, I'm now showing you your analysis for 001P, carpet from bedroom bathroom transition. Was there blood on this item?
Again, presumptive chemical testing indicated the presence of blood. Presumptive immunological testing indicated the presence of human hemoglobin, a component of human blood.
And what genetic profile was developed from the blood on that piece of carpet?
The DNA profile obtained is that of an unknown female individual, unknown female number 2, the toothbrush from the bag in the toolbox.
Is that the same individual whose DNA was found on Exhibit 9, or Item 9?
Yes, it is.
Ma'am, if the testimony was that that sample of carpet came from the area shown in 146-3, your testing would indicate that the blood on that was unknown female too.
That is correct.
At a later time, ma'am, where you submitted additional items for testing and comparison,
Specifically, July the 11th of 2023.
Yes, they were submitted on July 11th.
Okay. I'm handing you what's been marked for identification purposes as Exhibit 211, pages 1 to 3. Would you familiarize yourself with that?
This is a report, a copy of the report I released on January 25th, 2024.
Thank you. Again, this is fairly inaccurately depict your findings and conclusions based upon your analysis of the items submitted.
It does.
Is this a document that's kept in the regular course of business of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Crime Laboratory?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I move to admit into evidence Exhibit 211. Thank you.
Ma'am, on this second batch of evidence, were you submitted additional known standards of any individuals?
Yes, I received a known blood standard from Jasmine Pace.
I'm handing you what's been admitted into evidence as Exhibit 174. Have you seen this item before?
Yes, it's got my lab number on it with the exhibit number and my initials as 2A, which is the known blood standard from Jasmine Pace.
Were you able to conduct an analysis of Ms. Pace's known standard blood spot card?
Yes, I was able to get a complete profile.
Thank you. We've also submitted additional items for comparison to known standards.
Yes, I was.
I'm handing you what's been admitted into evidence. Is Exhibit 187, a swab from the whole area of bag 1 being a garbage bag. Did you receive that?
Yes, it's my exhibit 002D, which is swabs from pulled areas of bag number 1.
Were you able to receive for analysis this item, Exhibit 191, which is described as swab from pair of handcuffs?
It's my exhibit 2C, so swabs from handcuffs.
How about Exhibit 190, swabs from pair of shackles?
So yes, exhibit 2B, swabs from shackles.
How about Exhibit 180, a swab from steering wheel?
Has my lab number exhibit number 002H, swabs from steering wheel of Chevy Equinox.
Thank you. And what about Exhibit 189, swab from pulled area of garbage bag 3?
Has my exhibit number 002F, so swabs from pulled areas of bag number 3.
What about 188, swab from pulled area of garbage bag 2?
So my exhibit 002E, which is swabs from pulled areas of bag number 2.
What about Exhibit 159, swabs from bedroom under carpet on subfloor?
002J, swaps from bedroom under carpet, not listed as item 196.
And what about Exhibit 160, swab from bedroom under carpet on subfloor?
002I, swaps from bedroom under carpet for item number 197.
And finally, ma'am, what about Exhibit 186, swab from pole handle suitcase?
So my 002G, swaps from suitcase handle.
You received all of those items for testing, analysis, and comparison.
Yes, I did.
Thank you, ma'am. I'd now like to run through them with you, if I could. Ma'am, you describe a complete DNA profile was obtained for comparison. Once you developed the profile from 002A, which was the one spot car of Jasmine Pace, what did you do with it?
I then used it to compare back to the two unknown profiles that I had from the previous report.
How do you
And then anything else that I obtained from this current.
Okay. So how do you conduct a comparison between genetic, profiles that you have developed?
So I have a developed profile of an unknown female from the first one that shows 24 different locations. And I've obtained a profile from this one that also shows 24 different locations. And so when I look at them together, they should match at every single spot. And so that's how I compare the two.
And down in your findings of examination, ma'am, you indicate that in 002, you tested 002B, and it was a indicative of blood. What was item 002B?
We're swapped to the shackles.
So there's blood on the shackles. What does it mean when you put down DNA profile obtained is a mixture of at least two individuals?
So the DNA profile obtained from that swab shows that there's at least two people present in the profile. So you, in a general profile, you end up getting one sample at one location. You get one from mom and one from dad. So you're going to see two spots or one spot, depending on what you get from mom and dad. In this case, there's a mixture, so it's showing at least 3 or 4 locations at one location. So I know that there's more than two people present in that one location.
So what's a major contributor and what's a minor contributor?
So a major contributor is someone who's going to be contributing more of the DNA, so they're stronger, and the minor contributor is a weaker component and contributing less.
So could you compare DNA analysis to kind of listening for the strongest signal, if you will? So you have two DNA profiles, correct, on a particular item. The one with more DNA is going to have a stronger presence as far as your instrumentation can detect?
Yes, it's going to be showing a higher peak presence than it would be for the smaller one.
And the higher peak presence kind of overpowers the smaller sample. Would that be fair?
It depends on what type of sample it is, on what you're looking for. So bodily fluids will overpower like touch samples.
So blood on, for instance, the shackles would overpower touch DNA from the person who may have placed them there.
It's a possibility, yes.
So what do you mean when you say that a person is excluded as a contributor of the major profile?
It means that person is not there. They are not matching at any of the locations.
Okay. Could they be a contributor of genetic material that is a minor profile?
If I have said the minor contributor profile is available for comparison, then I can look at it, but if it's inconclusive, I can't compare it to it.
And in this case, were you ever able to develop a minor contributor profile?
I was not.
Moving on to 002C. In 002C, which is described as swabs from handcuffs, what did your testing reveal?
Chemical testing indicated the presence of blood. Presumptive immunological testing for the presence of human hemoglobin, a component of human blood, was not performed at this time. The DNA profile obtained matches Exhibit 2A, Jasmine Pace. And then the probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual who would be included as a contributor of the DNA profile is 1 in a number greater than the current world population for the African American, Caucasian, and Southwestern Hispanic populations.
Can you explain that last sentence for
The
us?
last sentence is the stat statement with it, so it essentially choosing somebody else in the room, would that person actually match that profile? And in this case, it is not. It's greater than the world population, which is at current 8 million people.
And why is that important in DNA analysis and comparison?
It's giving weight to the statement that it matches a certain person.
So, in essence, for it not to be a match for Jasmine Pace, it would have to be an astronomically high number.
That is correct.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Moving on to 002D, which is described in your report as swabs from the garbage bag. Your testing indicated the presence of blood, and whose profile was developed on the garbage bag swab 002D.
The DNA profile obtained is consistent with Exhibit 2A, Jasmine Pace. Therefore, Exhibit 1T, Jason Chen, is excluded as a contributor to the profile. The probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual who would be included as a contributor to this DNA profile is 1 in a number greater for the current world population for the African American, Caucasian, and Southwestern Hispanic populations.
Saying that there's a high confidence level in Jasmine Pace's DNA being on the garbage bag that contained her.
On those swabs, correct.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to 002E, swab from hold area of bag 2. Did your testing again indicate the presence of blood?
It presumptively indicated the presence of blood.
And were you able to develop a DNA profile from the garbage bag number 2, the middle garbage bag?
Yes, I was.
And whose DNA is that?
The DNA profile obtained is consistent with Exhibit 2A, Jasmine Pace. And therefore, Exhibit 1T, Jason Chen, is excluded as a contributor to the profile. The probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual who would be included as a contributor to the DNA profile is 1 in a number greater than the current world population for those 3 previous populations.
Okay. You're saying you're highly confident that Jasmine Pace's blood was on the garbage bag that contained her.
That is correct.
002F, which is described as swab from hold area of bag 3, the innermost bag. Ma'am, what did your testing indicate?
Presumptive physical testing indicated the presence of blood. Presumptive immunological testing indicated the presence of human hemoglobin, a component of human blood. The DNA profile obtained matches Exhibit 2A, Jasmine Pace. Therefore, Exhibit 1T, Jason Chen, is excluded as a contributor to the profile. The probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual who would be included as a contributor to the DNA profile is 1 in a number greater than the current world population for those 3 populations.
Again, high probability that Jasmine Pace's DNA was on the garbage bag which contained her.
That's correct.
Moving on to 002G, which is the swab from suitcase handle. Could you please tell us what your findings were in conclusion as it related to your analysis of the swabs from this handle?
So testing with real-time PCR was inconclusive for the presence of human DNA to the result not meeting the detection threshold. So in this instance, we're at the quantification stage and it's trying to let me know how much DNA is present. And it's saying that there's not enough to even say that there's human DNA presence. It's inconclusive, so I didn't do any further testing.
Bottom line, there's just not enough there for you to be able to conduct an analysis to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty.
Correct.
Not for lack of trying, though.
Yeah, I extracted it.
Thank you. How about 002H, swab from steering wheel?
The DNA profile obtained is consistent with a mixture from at least 2 individuals. Due to the limited profile obtained, this profile is inconclusive for comparison purposes. So I was able to obtain a profile on this that is a mixture, but because it was so limited and a mixture, I wasn't able to actually take anybody out of there to say who was present.
So you couldn't parse out the 2 DNA samples that were contained on the steering wheel swab?
That's correct.
There's just too much interference from both of the profiles?
That or there's not enough DNA present to see, and it's both in one.
Okay, thank you. Is that common to happen with touch DNA, ma'am?
It's not unheard of.
Okay, thank you. And finally, ma'am, there's 3 items, 002I, J, and 003A. And 002I are swabs from under carpet, which is item 197. So it's a CPD item 197. 002J, again, are swabs from under the carpet. And a backer board, cement backer board. Were you submitted those items for testing?
Yes, I was.
Did you perform an analysis on it?
I did not.
Why did you not perform an analysis on those 3 items?
So I had already worked the 2 carpet samples from the bedroom.
And we'll get to that in just a moment.
Oh.
But you worked the analysis from the 2 carpet samples that we have right here. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue without saying what the results were.
And then therefore I made a connection there, but I didn't need to, so therefore I didn't need to go ahead and work more evidence from that same interview.
Now let's talk about these 2 carpet samples. Okay. Going to the first page of your report. I'm going to zoom in right here. After you received Jasmine Pace's known blood standard, did you go back and conduct an analysis and compare it to the genetic profiles that you developed from these 2 pieces of carpet?
I did.
And what was the results of that examination?
So the carpet from the west end of the bedroom, which is my 001F, the DNA profile obtained matches Exhibit 2A, Jasmine Pace. The probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual who will be included as a contributor to the DNA profile is 1 in the number greater of the current world population for those 3 population groups.
So would it be fair to say that your analysis of 001P, the transition from the carpet that we see here, okay, and in the crime scene photograph 01463, is no longer unknown female 2, we can say to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty that this is Jasmine Pace's blood?
Yes.
Turning now to the other sample of carpet, Exhibit 142, carpet from west of bed and bedroom. Did you go back and compare the genetic profile that you developed on this previously with the known standard from Jasmine Pace?
I did, but I have to clarify something. I just read 001F the previous time.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So 142,
I read just now.
okay,
When
you
you
read
were
just
comparing.
now. It's Jasmine Pace's DNA?
Yes, it is.
And what about on the transition piece?
The transition piece, the DNA profile obtained matches Exhibit 2A, Jasmine Pace. The
So-
DNA
I'm sorry.
The
Continue.
probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual who will be included as a contributor of the DNA profile is 1 in a number greater than the current world population for those 3 population groups.
So there's a high degree of certainty that that's Jasmine Pace's blood
Correct.
on both samples.
That is correct.
further questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Special Agent Lowe. My name is Amanda Morrison. One of the things that I wanted to go through with you is the policy related to the 10 items. Could you tell the jury about that?
The policy I really done testing.
Yes.
It's to, for homicide testing, it's up to 10 probative items to be able to work to make a connection.
Okay, and so is that an actual policy within your manual at the TC Bureau of Investigations?
It may be a memo that is in policy.
Is there a way around that policy?
If you have that, if there's a reason, you gotta have a good reason on why things want to be worth more than that.
Okay, and how, if there is a reason, can the policy be changed a little? Can more than 10 items be tested?
Yes.
Has that happened?
In other cases, yes.
Was there a request for additional items to be tested in this case?
I don't believe so, no.
Going through your Honor, may I have the log hand here? I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 210 behind you here. Is it fair to say that the number of items that were submitted to you, I'm sorry, this is not very bright, let me brighten it up here. Try.
Is the lamp on?
That would help. Thank you. Does that make it easier to see behind you? Okay. How many items were submitted to you in that? 7?
In this exhibit, on 12-2, there were actually more than these that were submitted. The remainder were submitted that were on the other report.
Okay, so on this report, though, this shows the items that have actually had testing conducted on them, correct?
That is correct.
So 7 items within this list.
It does not include standards.
Okay. And so the standards would include Travis Pace, Katrina Pace, and Jason Chen.
Correct.
So-
So it include those 3.
Okay. And then you issued this first report that was shown by General Moyle, marked as Exhibit 209. This report was not issued until December 6th of 2024.
Yes.
Okay. What was the delay in issuing the report that there would not be testing completed on these items?
So when I originally received the case to work, I thought I would go back and work other ones until the other items came out. And our policy does state that we have to let the customer know what we did not work. And so I had to write the report up and release it to let them know what I didn't work.
Okay, in one of your reports specifically, I'll go back to a different report, 211 is the exhibit number here. This report was issued January, which was approximately 11 months previously.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually listed in here that you weren't going to be doing examinations on certain items at the end of this report, correct?
Correct, on the items that were submitted on this, in this submission.
Okay, and these items were submitted, and I'll show you the dates, November 30th of 2022, correct?
Right.
Okay. And the items that were not tested in Exhibit 209 were also submitted to you November 30th of 2022?
That's correct.
Okay. What was the basis again for not submitting your report of the additional non-test until 11 months later?
So at the time, I was going to work more, and then when I got this, I worked the second set first. I worked the second set, and then did not end up working more evidence. And then prior to court, I noticed that I hadn't written up the previous no exam report.
And you mean private, or just prior to this trial starting, correct? Within the last 45 days?
No, in December.
Okay.
I noticed it when I got a subpoena.
It's January of 2025 now, correct?
That's right.
And you issued this last report in December of 2024, so
That's
just
correct.
about 45 days ago, correct?
About how long?
45 days ago? December 6th, we're down to the 16th.
Yeah.
There was questions posed to you by General Moyle about the contributors that were seen in your reports, Exhibit 211, which is your report that was issued on January 25th of 2024. The major contributors is listed as Jasmine Pace, correct? And I'll break this down. 00001F, that was specific to Jasmine Pace's DNA profile that you received, correct?
The 001F is from the carpet,
Okay.
and so I was comparing it back.
And so you went back and you were able to see, was she the contributor for the carpet?
She was the only contributor to the carpet, yes.
And you're talking about the two small pieces that were submitted by CPD, which are Exhibits 142 as well as Exhibit 141, correct?
Correct.
Now, there was a second walkthrough by CPD in January of 2023 where they recovered this large piece of carpet. You received swabs of that carpet, correct?
I received swabs from a carpet. I didn't know it was that carpet.
Did you have conversations with Investigator Crawford about a significance of having the second set of carpet tested?
I did not.
But he and the state received notice that you had not tested this carpet in January of 2024, correct?
For that one, correct.
And that's Exhibit 211, right? And you swabs or the swabs from under the carpet, which is item 197, is Exhibit 0002I, and 0002J is for the bedroom under the carpet, the swab from the bedroom under the carpet, correct?
Yes, correct.
And if we go to page 3 of your report, that's where it shows 002I and 002J, no examinations were performed.
That's correct.
Could this have been requested under your memo to have been tested anyway?
It can be requested. It has to be passed by the supervisor and manager to agree to go ahead and work more evidence.
Now, these 3 reports, does that encompass all of the exhibits or evidence that has been submitted to you by CPD?
Yes, it does.
So if there's van tennis shoes, sanitary pads, blue jeans that are not on these reports, you didn't receive them, correct?
That is correct.
So is it your testimony you didn't receive a request to test blue jeans that had suspected blood on them?
I did not receive any clothing.
No clothing at all?
There were sweatpants from
Okay.
the house.
In the laundry room, correct? And that's actually listed on Exhibit 209 as your first listed exhibit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. No testing done on those then?
Correct.
You were not requested to do testing of, I know it's technically a piece of clothing, but tennis shoes located outside of a dumpster, correct?
I did not receive tennis shoes.
Did you receive a request to test a sanitary pad?
No, I did not.
In the items that you have on your reports, you have notes that says Jason Chen is excluded. And I'll show you this as a contributor to a profile. For example, under 002B, let me start over. This is Exhibit 211. This is your report that's issued January 25th, 2024. And I'm on page 2 of 3 of that report. Halfway down the page, we'll start at the quarter. 002B, there's a paragraph that says Jason Chen is excluded as a contributor to the major profile. What does that mean?
It means that his DNA profile does not match who the major contributor is in that mixture.
And you had a contribution from him through the buccal swabs, correct?
Correct.
Was he a major contributor in any of the testing that you've done?
That was the only one I think we got a mixture on that I was able to say anything about, so no, he was not.
Now I'm going to direct you down to 002D. His name's at least mentioned here as well, but it again says he's excluded as a contributor to that profile as well, correct?
That is correct.
002E, second paragraph within that section, Jason Chen is excluded as a contributor.
Correct.
Ms. Lowe, I believe that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you.
Ma'am, based on the questions, you were asked how many submissions there were.
Yes.
And I think counsel said, all these items were submitted on November the 30th, 2022. Do you recall questioning to that?
Yes.
And an assertion of fact that everything was submitted on November the 30th of 2022?
There was a batch on November 30th. There was a second batch.
Oh. So in fact, there were multiple requests to test items submitted. Is that correct?
That is correct.
It wasn't just one request, was it?
No, there were two.
The Chattanooga Police Department sent 2 batches of evidence for analysis,
They did.
of which only some of the items on these 2 reports were tested
That is correct.
within the 10-item limit.
Correct.
In fact, ma'am, more items for comparison were not tested despite being submitted.
That is correct.
You would agree that every piece of evidence has potential DNA evidence on it, correct?
And has some form of DNA evidence on it.
Sure. Do you see this giant pile of brown paper bags here?
I do.
What if every single item was submitted to DPI Crime Lab on every single case?
I may still be working it.
Would you ever be able to complete anything?
It would be very limited resources to complete everything.
The decision to conduct further testing of swabs that came from under this sample of carpet, was that in no small part based on the fact that Miss Jasmine Pace's blood was found mere inches from a very large, and I know you haven't had the opportunity to see this, Special Agent, so I'll help you out. Assuming these 2 pieces of carpet are connected to each other, does it not stand to reason that the swabs that came from under this very large stain adjacent to the piece of carpet that you matched the genetic profile to Miss Jasmine Pace, that they're one and the same?
If it's from the same one, I can't tell you what DNA was left behind in that one spot because it's not the spot I tested.
Sure. But does it stand to reason that it's likely the
It's a
same?
possibility.
Nothing further.
Very quick. Just to clarify, you received a swab of this carpet and the padding, but you were not able to conduct testing, or you did not conduct testing, correct?
I received swabs from the floor, I think, from under the carpet.
Okay.
So I did not test those swabs.
Okay, and you have not been submitted any piece of this carpet, correct?
No, I did not.
So you can't say that those swabs would have given DNA for Jasmine Pace, correct?
I don't know, I did not test those swabs.
Thank you.
Nothing further.
Jury, have any questions for Agent Lowe? Well, the jury has a question, so I'm going to ask it if you can face them and answer it, please. Who decides which pieces of evidence are actually tested by the DA?
So the analyst does, I do. I ended up looking at what was there, and noticing that most of the swabs originally came from the bedroom or the bathroom. So I tested the items of evidence that were closest to the bedroom and the bathroom to start with.
Can you redirect based on the jury's question?
No, Your Honor.
You recall?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Agent Lowe. Safe travels back.